there are murmurs out of the UK which are saying, and some farmers themselves that are actually making the point that the UK government are actually launching programs to pay farmers not to actually grow their own food. Enough from me. Listen to what this farmer says from his own mouth.
We've been offered £2,500 to join a scheme for 3 years, and we don't supply you any food.
We're going to go hungry.
I am going to plough a field. I'm going to put spring barley in. I am going to get £440 off the government per acre, that when it comes to crop size, leave it rot in the ground. So I don't get no straw for the cattle. You don't get nothing for your bread, for everything we make, okay? But I can also plant bee mix, which is for birds and bees. I can plant wild bird seed, which is for wild birds. I can also be paid to buy a ton of wild bird seed like anybody puts in their garden for the birds and drill it out on the ground once a week. I can get paid for that. Now my accountant says do it, because in doing that I've not got to buy fertiliser, which since the Ukraine war it's gone from £250 a tonne, to £1,000 a tonne. So in order to fertilise your food, I've got to buy fertiliser at £1,000 a tonne. So I've now got a crop that I don't have to spray, I don't have to send nobody out there with a tractor, I don't have to fertilise it, so I can just leave it in the ground and let it roll. And pick up my £440 an acre and go all over it again.
Crazy. What are your reactions to that, guys?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say, no one talks about every year all those farmers out there who take their own lives out of despair, and their children see it and they think, what future do I have on the land? What future is there for me? And these are the people who sustain us so our children can grow, and we need to be friends with our mates from the bush, because anybody who's ever had a friend from the bush knows that if you're lucky enough to have a friend from the bush, you can have one of the most loyal, hard-working and trustworthy mates that you've ever had in your life. And I just think that this is another kick in the teeth to farmers, and for too long, all over the world, in the Western world, farmers have been left behind. They've been neglected. I mean, and now because of things like the internet, we're seeing their hardships. There was a couple of years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, I think it was, a farmer who made a TikTok or an Instagram post or something like that, saying how he only gets $1.86 an hour. He works 12-hour, 13, 14-hour days every single day, doesn't complain, doesn't ask for nothing. He said, I'm not complaining, I'm not asking for nothing, but I just want to show you what I'm really having to do here. And then you look at what it's sold from the supermarket, how much money they're making off it. I mean, I heard something ridiculous back in the day. I don't know the exact figure now, but back in the day, I remember getting told, farmers are getting 3 cents a pineapple, and then they're selling it for $3 in the store. Why is more money not going into the farmer's pocket for what they produce to sustain us, and leaving all this food to rot? I mean, no one's looking at that from an ethical point of view. How can that be allowed? How can someone pay to allow food to just be destroyed? And when there's so many people in the world who need food, and there's starving people in the world, and let's cut it. If you look at the supermarkets here, now you look on the shelves, we're seeing foreign fruits, foreign vegetables, and all these imported food. And you ask, why are we importing food when we've got the best garlic, we've got the best oranges, we've got the best of everything? And yeah, sure, some might not be in season, that's why they import some of the stuff, but some of the stuff's all, they can freeze it, there's lots of things they can do. They're more likely to sell it overseas to China. And you look at a supermarket like Coles, they sell all the good stuff to China, and then we'll undercut SPC in diced peaches, but we'll use Chinese peaches. How does that help Aussie farmers? It's not. It's because they want the best peaches for China, and then we get the dud peaches that they don't want, And for too long, people have neglected the bush, and the Australian government has not done enough for the bush. And how long is it, and what is it going to take before we, really start putting in an effort for our farmers and giving them a fair go so their kids can grow up and have a great life? I'll never forget, I've got a family down in Victoria on the farm, right? I'll never forget this doing Christmas. And I got told, I was only young, I got told, oh, these kids are coming over, you need to be real nice to them, be friendly with them. I go, okay, sure. And their dad just killed himself, you know? And then I'll never forget this. The auntie gave him a card, and it was $20 inside, and this kid thought he'd won the lottery. It shows you how tough they were doing. He got $20 and he was wrapped. And I was so upset. I thought, how, this is so bad for this guy, you know? Like, and I was only young at the time. I was, you know, probably 12 years old, 13 or something like that. But I just thought, that's not fair, you know? I mean, these people work hard. They work a really, really hard job. And the best stock in this country, if you go anywhere in the country, the bush, anywhere in the rural area, the best, most ochre Aussie stock in this country comes from the bush. They're some of the best people. They're the backbone of this nation. If you look at the Anzacs and all the Anzac legacy, that's where it's from. All those people, the backbone of the country. You know, true Aussies.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense when you hear the stories about the Anzac soldiers, like the light horse. It's like, well, they were just from farms.
That's right.
They were just good stock. And you reminded me of the back in 2019, I had friends visit me from Victoria. They were farmers, generational farming, and they were here for a funeral for another. They said to me, "Oh, another farmer committing suicide." Like, it's just the norm. It's just like, how are we allowing this to happen? And you're right about this monopoly. Maybe I'm using the wrong word, maybe oligopoly, between Coles and Woolies. The idea that this farm gate price that's negotiated, the price that these farmers pay, you gave the example of pineapples for 30 cents or whatever, and that them being sold for $5-6 or whatever it is at Coles or Woolies. Why is it? What's going on there? And again, this isn't me going after Coles or Woolies. I just want to understand why. I want to actually set up an app, if I have the opportunity to, or some kind of website where farmers can send us anonymously the farm gate price they're selling to these organisations, and then we are finding exactly what they're being sold at around the country.
Well, that's right. And if you look at the milk, like they went after dairy farmers. You know, well, let's buy our own milk. Let's undercut all our competition in the store and put them out of business. And you look at it and go, how unethical is this practice? Yeah. This is not, you're not talking about a T-shirt or, you know, a car or something like that. You're talking about things that are sustaining human life in this country. You cannot allow that to happen. And it's time for governments to step up, put their money where their mouth is, and legislate against this stuff. Legislate for fair pricing. And I'm talking at the gate. The farmer gets way more in their pocket for what they produce, but the end sale to the consumer can't be an extortionate price. And I'm not talking about, you know, taking away free market. We're not about that. You always got to have free market. But if you do not have regulations to protect farmers,